Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. So today is one of my most joyful days of the year. We are kicking off our nonprofit series. So for those long-term listeners, every holiday season, I do a series of about 6 interviews all around the nonprofit and social impact space. I do this because in my heart, I know the holidays are a time of an enormous amount of receiving as well as an enormous amount of giving. So what better way to give than to know and expand our knowledge on various nonprofits, as well as some social impact enterprises. So this year, there's been a bit of an amazing theme. We're talking to a lot of these small micro nonprofits, smaller organizations that might be centered in towns, communities, states, not all national organizations, as well as an amazing social enterprise that actually has a great arm that continues to do really good work. And how great is it to understand and build a business that has an extension of automatically giving back and understanding the purpose of that. So as we continue or kick off actually our nonprofit series, for those of you who have been thinking about starting a nonprofit, this is a series you don't want to miss. For those of you who are involved in a smaller nonprofit and want to learn more about it, this is a series you don't want to miss. And for those of you who are executive directors or on boards of larger organizations, it gives you an opportunity to touch base about what small organizations and how they work in conjunction with larger ones, and how the ripple impact globally will continue to make a difference. 2020 has been an interesting year, to say the least. What's important here is using this as an opportunity to grow, expand, develop, and know one thing you can continue to do well. So as we can do one thing that makes an impact on one person, and we all show up, there's a ripple impact there of an enormous amount of work that has great effects. So I continue to invite you to join me for this nonprofit series. Hit subscribe below so it comes into your inbox every Monday morning. Check us out on social media. Leave a comment below. Leave a review. Of course, the more stars, the merrier. And make an impact yourself. Take this year in the nonprofits and find one small thing you can do that will make an impact on somebody else. And please share it. Today's guest, I had the honor of meeting through friends. So I will always say relationships are the golden ticket to success. And it's who you surround yourself with and who you keep in touch with that are amazing resources. Well, a few months back during this interesting year we're having, friends of ours reached out and said, oh, we're involved in this nonprofit. My husband is speaking on the virtual fundraiser. Why don't you join in and see him speak? So we were all excited. Actually, we grabbed a glass of wine to toast with them virtually. And in this moment, I met Gwendolyn Love, also known as Gwen. She is the executive director of an organization called Lunch Break. What I truly admire about Gwen and her leadership is how she took an organization that started primarily as a food bank or food for thought in many ways, and it expanded it in numerous programs. When I saw, and I was watching it live, and I was watching various different interviews, and I said, this was a small little community program that has expanded to truly make a huge difference in the community and numerous other communities. This is a leader that I wanted to interview on Her Success Story. So Gwen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Ivy. Thank you so much for your hospitality, your radio hospitality. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit, because you could do a lot more justice to the background of Lunch Break and how it has morphed over the years. If you could share a little bit about the organization.
Sure. Well, 37 years ago, there was a group of about 30 plus very concerned individuals in the Red Bank area that saw that hunger was becoming more and more of an issue in the area. And they banded together and they wanted to do something about it. And it started out as a soup kitchen in a local church, the basement of a local church. They hired which was one of the founders, Norma Todd, who was their first executive director and remained their executive director for 25 years.
Wow.
And from the basement of the church, they went from serving hot meals to providing a pantry, bags of food for people to take home, clothing. They started an adopt a family program for the holidays. Ultimately, realized they had to. They grew out of the basement of the church and built their own building, which is which we're in the same location today. We've just expanded the building, but we're in the same location today, which is in Red Bank. And
that's Red Bank, New Jersey for our listeners.
Exactly. Red Bank, New Jersey. And from there, I came on 12 years ago. And from there, we really did expand a lot more programs. And we have mentorship programs for children as well as for women. We have a cooking class for children. We've opened up the building. So it's really pretty much a community center. And the community utilizes it as much as we do. We have a very robust clothing program now, as well as a Clara's Closet program where people can come in. And this is all pre-COVID, of course, because COVID has changed a lot.
And I'm going to definitely be asking about that.
Yeah. So it hasn't changed so much what we do, but certainly how we do. So we got our clothing closet, which a lot goes on there. Prom dresses. We dress people for all types of special occasion, professional resume, the job training, things like that. And then we opened up a life skill center, which is in New Jersey also, but it's in Shrewsbury. So 5 minutes away from lunch break, we have our life skill center, which, prepares people for jobs. And we particularly focus on the adults. We figure if you can train a mom or dad, to get a better job or to get a job if they haven't had a job, then you basically are transforming an entire family. So like I said, from a very humble soup kitchen to over 20 plus programs now, and really focusing a lot on self-sufficiency for those that come through our doors. We've really grown a lot, and we've tried so much to continually meet the needs of the community as well.
So share with me, one of the things I was truly impressed with about Lunch Break it started to fulfill one need in a community. And as the community needed more, you expanded and you continued to listen and meet the needs of the community. That really impressed me. Now we have 2020, a year that nobody expected to be the way it is. And how has Lunch Break shifted to meet the community's needs right now?
Well, when the order was really given, to shut things down and people were not, wasn't safe for people to come in, we, shutting down completely was never even an option for Lunch Break. So we never shut, totally closed our doors, but we did transition. And so whereas our dining room, up to Saturday morning had, families and individuals coming in for a nice hot breakfast and the fellowship and the community, the feeling of community, that Monday when we opened up, we were giving out our hot meals to go. And so, and then also with our pantry on this other side of the building, with our pantry, whereas we have a client choice pantry where, families are coming in and selecting the food that really is best for their family. That Monday we had to open up as a, pre-bag or the bags and people ride around with their cars, they pop the trunk, nobody gets out the car, our volunteers and staff are just loading people up. And for those that were walkers, because we do have quite a few of walkers from the community, we actually purchased the shopping carts, the fold-up shopping carts so that they would not be without. and they wouldn't be missing anything. So they would be able to load up and take the food home as well. So it took a little bit, maybe about a month for us to transition our programs, other programs like the life skills programs. Everything used to be in-house, and they went to virtual classrooms. For ESL classes went to virtual classrooms. Our financial classes, the resume writing, all that, transition into virtual. We had suspended some programs such as the clothing for a little bit. And then we started slowly accepting clothing. And the process is that they would have to come in, the clothing would come in, it would quarantine for 7 days before we would give it out. And the clients would, instead of being able to come inside lunch break and shop for the clothing, they would call ahead, pretty much say, this is what I need, these are my sizes. And we would have volunteers and staff go downstairs and pack the
Nice.
clothing, and they would pick it up. So everything now, including now, is still, the grab and go type of process as opposed to coming in. But our goal was to never close our doors and to continue to serve the community. And I think we've done that really, really well. The
Nice.
staff has been amazing. The volunteers as well have been amazing to step up for this.
So let me ask you, Gwen, how did you get involved in lunch break? What drew you here? Did you have a background in nonprofits? I'm always curious because I think it helps our listeners who are either in nonprofits or dabbling or thinking about.
Well, no, honestly, I mean, aside from the work I always did in my church, which my church was always very mission driven. Okay, so we were so from just being on various ministries at the church, I actually worked for a number of years in a municipality with their planning and zoning board. And then when a program came that was sponsored by the state to run a development program for the community in Neptune, New Jersey, I was pretty much, targeted by the municipality to see if I would run the program. So it was an empowerment program for the community. And my job was to go out into the community and work with the group and develop some programs that would be empowering the community to take a responsibility for their own community. So, I did that for 5 years. The goal was to work myself out of a job because the program was going to end. And which I actually did. But what was great about it was, working, one-on-one with the community, sitting in people's kitchen, across the kitchen table and talking with them and talking about their community that had seen some real blighted situations, over 30 years. So that was a 5-year program. And when that program was over, I was looking to continue the role of working with people in need and the community people. And I went from that job. I was asked to work for a housing developer for 2 years, and I did that. But the role I had there was director of administration, and I didn't have the connection with the people in the community or the people that we served in that nonprofit. And I was starting to really, really feel that loss of connectivity. And when I saw this job was open for an executive director, which honestly I never even thought about. I just knew there was that longing that I just felt like there was a vacuum within me. And, Lunch Break had a very good reputation of just being an organization that filled basic needs for individuals. 3 interviews later, I got the position. I mean, it really wasn't, I just kind of felt like God was leading me after one position after another to this particular role that I'm in now. But that, I can't say I started out thinking about nonprofits. It was just one thing kind of led to the other. So that's my story.
Well, in your story, you always had a community heart. You always had a community focus, always had a community heart. And I'll always say, whatever your belief is, we have some angels on some shoulders, we have God, we have universe. It's about truly following the lead of who you are and the connections come to you. And that's a beautiful lesson to learn.
I totally agree with you. And I do, have to take a step back and say my mom was always very much a very community-minded individual. And that's one thing she taught our family and demonstrated, not just taught, but demonstrated, was always giving, always looking out for other people. And so I think that, I mean, and again, these are things you don't really give much thought to sometimes. And then you look back
Right.
at where you are and you say, wow, I just didn't arrive here like this. My mom was very much a community-minded individual who spent a lot of time at, evening meetings and spent a lot of time at social service agencies, just trying to see how she can help out. And so I think that there's a lot there that I kind of just pulled from naturally without even really thinking about it. But it just seemed like when I got to lunch break, it was the right fit. It was just like something that was missing. And then when I got to lunch break, it was like I knew that was where I belonged. So you're right. We're led by different things. And I feel very much that that's what happened.
So tell me, I mean, sometimes we talk about is the nonprofits and businesses. We have a lot of listeners who are business leaders, business owners, and I'll always say I see a huge parallel. A nonprofit is a business. It's just your sales are actually to raise money and your deliverables are going in a different direction. How do you, as far as being an executive director for an organization that has really grown and scaled in the last bunch of years since the founding days, how do you see the alignment or the differences between a nonprofit and a business?
Well, I mean, there's certainly similarities in terms of concept. We have a service that we are offering. And we have a mission, and I would imagine that all businesses have a mission statement and a business plan and all that, and we certainly do too. We have our strategic plan and we have a mission statement and a vision statement and all that. It's just that, and not to take away anything from any business, any for-profit business, but lunch break and nonprofits in general are, I feel like the soul of our heart is trying to make things better for people, especially those who, are the least of those who are struggling for one reason or another, whether it's, food insecurity or if there's drug abuse or whatever it is, you're trying to lift those people up by your programs. And so, what I'm selling basically, my programs to those that need it. And in terms of what I'm selling to my donors are, look, you can be a part of this and you can help me, but also I need your help. And so, we have a product and, we have people that we're serving. So we have customers or clients or participants, however way, you want to look at them. But, we have a demographic of people that need our help. And we've identified a niche of a vacuum, that we can help. And so there's a service that we're providing. And the other part is how we raise our money, so we're not selling anything. All of our services are completely free. And because lunch break does really help people in so many creative ways, and it's all people, we do not go after, government funds. And so, because we need the creativity to be able to help people in whichever ways they need to be helped. And so we found that government funds, first of all, is a lot of bureaucracy, very difficult to get difficult to get the grants, without a lot of paperwork, and you have to hire staff just to take care of government grants. So we really heavily rely on individual donations, family foundations, corporate support as well. And so how we get our money, versus, a business who has a product that they're selling to a consumer, everything is free for lunch break. And, you have some nonprofits do that, there is a fee for service. But when you think of that in terms of what the deliverable is, in terms of you're helping someone, hopefully, enhance their life, whether it's clean up their life, help them some way. It's different in that way. But in terms of how we run our organization, in terms of how we have to have clean records, we have to treat our employees professionally. We have to have auditors, and I mean there's things that we have to do that are very similar, the same as a business. We have to run it, in terms of proper governance as well. So there's similarities, but I think the mission and for lunch break, how we get our money and how we depend on the community for our funds, it's very different, as far as the fundraising. And we're always fundraising.
And you're always fundraising, no matter what.
No matter what, we are always fundraising. And it's a very delicate balance, because you don't want to over ask, but you certainly can't under ask, because at the end of the day, we depend on our donors. That at the end of the day, we need their help.
So what are some of, because I'm always just interested in what are some of the upcoming goals and the future of lunch break? What are you working on in moving into 2021? And now that things are evolving and we're doing so much business, we have fallen into a new groove.
You're absolutely right. And, we had plans, even, pre-COVID, to make some changes in how we were offering our services. We had hired a consultant to look at us operationally, and she had come in and made some changes, made some recommendations, and we were working on that. Because again, like we have the Life Skills Center, people were applying and coming into, we have people coming in applying for food, people coming in applying for clothing, some things you can do online, some things you have to come in. And our consultant said, you really need, one path of entry into your organization.
Right.
So we started working on our database, and we hired a navigator. She recommended, to have a navigator that would pretty much, people would come in and that person would kind of, navigate the process and follow up with all the people. So we were going through that process. And then when COVID hit, and that's still some things we're able to continue to put together while we're in COVID. But COVID really did also allow us to step back and say, wow, there are some changes that we can continue to make that we hadn't thought of until COVID. And so, we didn't have where people could ride around and pick up their food and in their car and keep going. And so sometimes people would sit in our waiting area, 30, 45 minutes. And the waiting area would get, backed up, and we had to send people to the other side where the soup, where the dining room was, because there were so many people. So we said, this kind of gave us an opportunity to think out the box and make some changes in how we're going to be doing things in the future. The other thing I think with COVID, it really, brought really up front and center about, how many people were really getting very sick and even passing away with COVID. And a lot of it, according to the science, was saying that, because people, if proper nutrition, if you were, exercising, proper nutrition, if you were just healthier, you would be in a better position to fight the COVID. And so, many of the people that we're serving have so many of the issues, the medical issues that, unfortunately, some of the people that were passing away had as a standing situation. So we are now in a process of getting ready to launch a nutrition program, that would start from our staff right through all of our clients. And, you can't force anything on people, but we feel that, we have a great opportunity and a responsibility to, provide more education, provide more healthier options, and to really, really, kind of dive deeper into nutrition for the people that we serve. So we have been in the process of working with Tracy Stewart from Hoxton Farm. She is heading this up. We have a Dr. Carol Penn, who is on our board, who is also working with us, and another board member, Robin Klein. And so, so we have a whole, committee, and we're working with our staff as well. So we're going to be rolling that out very, very shortly. We're looking at putting together a consortium to sit down and talk about where we are with our life skills program, which is only 2 years old, but we've had such great success with that already. But now with the COVID, and so many people have lost their jobs, and so many CEOs are looking to see, how things may be different in their own, hiring, future hiring. So we've got to determine where are the future jobs going to be. What training are people going to need? So we're working on putting together that group that's going to help us to facilitate that process, and maybe take our life skills program to another level in terms of knowing where the jobs are going to be, knowing where the training is going to be, and position us so that we can be a conduit to helping people to access those future jobs.
The one thing that impresses me so much, and I have to say, is I speak to a lot of businesses and not, from businesses to nonprofits to various types of organizations all around the world, of how not just how dedicated, but how quickly you're on the ball in adapting to the needs of your marketplace, which is your community. And I think that, a lot of businesses can be learning so much from you, and you're also using your resources, because several times I hear you referencing this board member or that board member, and reaching out to the community, and you're using every resource at your fingertips to gain the greatest effect. And I think there's huge learning lessons there, Gwen.
You have to. I mean, Lunch Break started as a grassroots organization, 37 years ago. And I feel that that's part of the attraction that people have about Lunch Break and why they want to get involved. Because, we know we can't survive without, the support of the community. We have wonderful volunteers that help us in every level. I mean, our Life Skills Center, we have over 80 volunteers, and they're amazing. They're coaches for the individual participants that come on. And these people have, they're retired experts in all types of fields. But our volunteers that help us even in the soup kitchen, in the food pantry, in the clothing, wherever. And then we have a great Board of Trustees who are very, very passionate about what we do. Our Board of Trustees are not just people that can write checks. They roll up their sleeves and they show up and they help. And I mean, I have Board of Trustees who we have a Homebound program that we deliver food to homebound individuals in Red Bank 6 days a week. And I have board members who are delivering food, and the staff is amazing. They're passionate, and they come from all walks of life. It's a very diverse group that work with me. That you can't do it by yourself. So it's not Gwen. I just want to throw that out there, and I absolutely know that. You're not going to be successful unless you have a great team around you, and I have a great team from the board members, right through the entire organization. So I'm very, very blessed. And then again, and
I'm going to just interrupt you for 1 second here, because listeners, if Gwen's going a mile a minute, like this is old hat, that everybody knows this, but I have to reiterate that one thing that, there's so many things that Gwen's saying that is brilliant, and it's brilliant in and of itself. And it doesn't matter if you're running a nonprofit, if you're running a huge business, or if you're just starting out. Gwen said you can't do it alone. You have to surround yourself with good people. And I think one of the greatest gifts I've learned in leadership over the 20 plus years, I've been at this game, is we are the success of the people we surround ourselves with.
That's right.
And I didn't want that to just be passed over, because I think it's so huge. And I think now around the holidays, we all have the ability to look around ourselves. And that is looking around ourselves in the organizations we're involved in, looking around ourselves in the businesses we're leading, looking around ourselves at our virtual holiday tables this year, and see who we're surrounding ourselves with.
Very true. Very true. Um, so, but yeah, I'm so glad you pointed that out because you're absolutely right. And I think for any organization, and especially for the nonprofits, you have to keep your eye on the fact that, you surround yourself with wonderful people. You thank them all the time. You lift them up because without them, your nonprofit can't work. And the work that you're doing is so much more important than you anyway. The work that the people that you're serving, they need our help. And if we get bogged down in self and the organization flounders, the people that really suffer are the people that need our help. And so it is very important for us to always remember that, we are very blessed and we continue to get so many wonderful people that want to step up and help us. And because of that, we're able to continue to grow and think out the box and think bigger and be receptive to what the needs of the community are. And there's always going to be something. I mean, like you said before, who thought there would be a COVID?
Right.
It just blows our mind that 2020 has ended up the way it is, but we've all learned a lot too. All of us, I think we've learned a lot.
So Gwen, how can our listeners learn more about Lunch Break, learn more and follow you? Because you are an amazing leader, and I so appreciate you taking some time out of a very busy schedule that I know you're leading right now to join us here at Her Success Story today. So how can our listeners learn more and stay in touch?
We're on social media, so we have our website, lunchbreak.org. We're also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. We have a wonderful young lady, Ellen, who takes care of our marketing, and she blasts us out every day to show you all the good things that we're doing and all the really wonderful people that are helping us as well. Also, this is the giving season, as we call it. And so our appeals are out there for monetary support, as well as our holiday program for children does look a little different this year because we cannot handle the toys coming in and the volunteers and all that. So we're asking instead that people send us either funds to purchase gift cards or the gift cards themselves from either Target or Walmart. And we're giving those out for the children, the over 800 children that have registered for help for the holidays. So we'd love to. And then volunteering. Volunteering right now is very difficult because we're not accepting a lot of volunteers, but keep in touch with us because at some point we will need more volunteers.
So listeners, there's always a way to show up in this world. There's a variety of ways you could show up, and you can give monetarily, you can give a gift card to a child, you can give of service to any organization that moves you. Organizations need various skill sets to function well. Not all, especially smaller grassroots organizations, don't have funds to pay necessarily marketing people or people to do an email list or an email blast or distribute different things. So reach out to any organization that moves you and see how you can be of service, how you can help. Gwen, I cannot thank you enough for joining me here today at Her Success Story. And I wish you, your family, and the family of Lunch Break a very, very happy holidays.
And thank you, Ivy. This has been a great opportunity, and I just want to thank you and for what you're doing as well. Keep doing what you're doing and keep lifting others up, and especially the nonprofit. We need all the support that we could possibly get, and what you're doing today is great. Thank you so much.
And you're so welcome. Listeners, feel free. Please hit subscribe. We come into your inbox with great interviews as well as content every Monday morning. Leave a note and a review. Let us know what piece of Gwen's story today and insight moved you, what actions you're going to take, as well as please leave a review, preferably the more stars, the better, and help expand the mission of Her Success Story. Thank you for joining us here today. We'll see you next time.